Page 1. Here you identify yourself, your healthcare agent, and your secondary agent, in case the primary agent is not available at the time a decision needs to be made. You don't have to choose a secondary agent. Please note that a more recent healthcare directive replaces all previous directives. And, of course, don't name an agent without talking to them about it. Remember, it's about the conversation. Page 2. At the top of the page, you are asked to defend why you are choosing a healthcare provider as your agent if you are doing so. It is much better to choose family or friends for this role, but if your only possibility is a healthcare provider, then explain why here. Most of you will be able to skip this question entirely. Now you are given a standard list of agent powers. If you agree to all of them, you don't have to do anything. If you want to limit one or more, simply do so in writing. For instance, if you want to make sure that you stay with a favorite doctor or healthcare system, you would note that you do not grant the powers under Section E. Finally, if you wish to add any powers to your agent, you are given the chance to do so by initialing next to additional powers. The first one, for instance, allows the agent authority to make decisions about your body after death, which may include autopsy, cremation, or donation to a med school. On to page 3. Please note that you will now be asked about some specific choices. You do not have to make them. Leaving any of these sections blank means that your agent will be left in charge of that issue. I encourage you to provide guidance if you can, but don't let uncertainty about any particular topic stop you from filling out the form. Specifically, you are asked on this page to make a decision about CPR. You can choose to receive CPR unless your health becomes compromised enough to make it medically inappropriate, or you can choose to be DNR, or do not resuscitate.
On page 4, you are given some space to talk about any particular conditions that you may have. Some people have situations that make their treatment unique. Perhaps you are diabetic or require dialysis. If there are ways in which your particular conditions change the standard way care is provided, you can give instruction here. At the bottom of the page, you are asked to consider the situation in which you are no longer aware of who you are and were not aware of other people in the room. You are asked about artificial nutrition, help with breathing, and CPR all at once. Normally the same choice is made about all of them in this situation. If you wish to specify only one of these, you may do so in writing. So for example, you could ask for a 3-day time trial of the BiPAP machine, make yourself DNR, and ask for hand feeding at all times. You would simply write it in the white space provided, and remember that a facilitator can help with that.
On to page 5. At the top, you are asked about organ donation. Please note that in order to donate an organ, you must be alive when the organ is removed. This means that you may be kept artificially alive for up to a week after treatments would normally have been stopped. This is sometimes hard on families who aren't able to say goodbye at the moment of death, but the good done by giving other people healthy, strong organs should not be overlooked. Step 2 is to decide whether you have a preference around an autopsy. There are cases in which autopsies are required by law, but you can indicate whether you would want one if it is not required. Step 3 is to think about whether you have a plan to preserve your independence and receive comfort at the end of life. This is going to be a very general plan, since you won't know now why you might need either of these, but it's an important topic of conversation. We are all better off thinking about things before we need them. The first is a matter of independence. If you were generally healthy, but needed some assistance to make it through the day, how would you get that? If you don't have a plan, the odds increase that you wait until you need more acute help, such as hospitalization. Talking about this with your agent and family now can help later. In general, most people tell me they have one of three plans. First, that their family will either come and help out or take them into their home. If that's your plan, make sure that your family is okay with it and able to provide what you need. Second, some people plan to hire help, sometimes an aide, and sometimes a full home care service. Pres Home staff is happy to make referrals and help you look into that. Third, some people move into an assisted living or increase the services they receive from a current assisted living. All three of these plans are workable, but the more you can think about today, the less you'll have to do when the situation is more difficult. The second topic is a general approach to peace and relief at the end of life. While you cannot sign up for comfort care or hospice services before you need them, looking into the option now can help you and your loved ones later. Comfort care is an approach that focuses on living fully rather than recovery, and is frequently used when treatments are unlikely to work. If you've ever given somebody chicken soup for a cold, then you have engaged in comfort care. It doesn't cure the cold, but it makes the person feel better while the body fights the cold naturally. Comfort care is also called palliative care. Hospice is a form of comfort care for those at the end of life. The Medicare benefit allows hospice to be provided at no cost to the client, and the goal is generally to allow somebody to die at home, wherever home might be. Again, Presbyterian Homes has people who would be happy to help you explore this option. Page 6. The page that gives you the chance to reflect on some of the big questions, and one of the things that makes honoring choices different. To provide guidance to your loved ones about how they can best serve and remember you at the end. To have your spirituality recognized and respected. And as a person who performs a lot of funerals, please know how much it means to your loved ones if you give them something here. Very little makes a family happier than to be able to say that the funeral was exactly what you wanted, and that it meant something to you that they were there. And just a reminder, all of these questions are optional. Don't let any one of them get in the way of completing the directive. Speaking of which, page 7. Let's complete the directive. Step 1. Sign or ask somebody else to sign for you. Step 2. Get 2 signatures or 1 notary public. If you are getting signatures, then make sure that your witnesses are 18 years old, not your intended agent, and that at least one of them does not provide care to you. Hopefully, you have a friend or neighbor you can call on as a witness.
Page 8. Honoring choices is a fantastic healthcare directive, but it does no good if it's sitting in a stack of papers to be filed later. In fact, I have been with families who have discovered directives only after their parent has died and really wish they would have known that it existed. So give one to everybody who might need it: family, friends, and neighbors, your agent and secondary agent, your doctor and clinic, your hospital, your elder care center, your lawyer. Spend the money to make the copies and then pass them out. or if you prefer, let your Presbyterian Homes or Optage facilitator do it on your behalf. And please remember to update your directive when your situation changes. Consider the 5 Ds. When you enter a new decade of life, when you experience a death that changes your attitude towards your own care, when there is a divorce or other change within the family, when you receive a new diagnosis, or when you notice a significant decline and need to start planning around it. Finally, there's also a place to record to whom you plan to give the directive. This is useful because it lets everybody know who else has a copy. And with that, your healthcare directive is done.